After a passionate night together, Petra and James wake early the next morning. Petra quickly heads off to class, while James lingers in bed, only to oversleep. By the time he wakes again, he's already late. He rushes through the city and barely makes it to his philosophy class, where Mr. Zimit hesitates to let him in, but ultimately opens the door. It's the final day of school, and Mr. Zimit asks the students to share their favorite thought experiments. Chip talks about the infinite monkey theorem, the idea that a monkey with a typewriter and infinite time would eventually produce the entire text of Hamlet. Jack brings up the trolley problem, where one must choose whether to pull a lever to save 4 people at the cost of 1 life. For fun, the class twists it into the obese man scenario, where pushing someone onto the tracks could stop the trolley. Georgina shares the ignorant bliss paradox. In her example, a person deliberately hangs from the tallest tower in the city to test whether their friends would save them. Afraid of being pulled over themselves, the friends do nothing. The person survives the fall, but is left questioning whether it's better to know the truth or remain blissfully unaware. To end the year, Mr. Zimit introduces one final exercise. The class must imagine an imminent nuclear apocalypse and a bunker that can shelter only 10 people for a year, despite there being 20 students. As he vividly describes the surrounding devastation and guides them through the imagined bunker, the dilemma becomes clear. They must decide who gets in and who is left behind, with little time before radiation reaches them. Georgina initially refuses to participate, comparing the exercise to eugenics, but reluctantly agrees after Zimit describes the horrific effects of radiation poisoning. Petra also refuses and even tries to leave, confident her perfect grades will protect her. However, when Zimit threatens to penalize James instead, potentially causing him to fail, Petra is forced to stay. Next, Mr. Zimit hands out cards assigning each student a random profession for the exercise. He lets James draw first, then pauses at his desk to cough before giving Petra her card, repeating the gesture as he distributes the rest. The students examine their roles. Toby announces that he's a published poet, but before he can finish, Zimit suddenly shoots him, revealing he has taken a gun from the bunker. He coldly explains that this is more humane than letting Toby die from radiation, since a poet would not be considered useful in rebuilding humanity. Zimit adds that he himself is part of the exercise, though his profession remains hidden, making him a wild card. The class begins to argue their cases and vote on who should be allowed into the bunker. 9 students are chosen for their perceived practicality. Petra, a structural engineer; James, a farmer; Georgina, an orthopedic surgeon; Chip, a carpenter; Jack, a chemist; Bonnie, a soldier; Andy, an electrician; Poppy, a psychotherapist; and Omacide, a senator. Another 9 are quickly excluded as non-essential. Vivian, a zoologist; Beatrice, a fashion designer; Parker, a gelato maker; Covey, a real estate agent; Russell, a harpist; Plum, a hedge fund manager; Nelson, a housekeeper; Mitzi, a wine auctioneer; and Yoshiko, an astronaut. The final spot comes down to Zimit and Utami, an opera singer. Petra argues that keeping a wild card is too dangerous, but Jack counters that an opera singer is a luxury, while Zimit might possess a hidden skill. In the end, Zimit is chosen. With the group decided, they are given 5 minutes to say their goodbyes, rearranging desks to simulate final farewells. Suddenly, gunshots ring out. Zimit has executed everyone who was excluded, again insisting it was the merciful choice. The survivors are horrified. Petra quietly tells James she no longer wants Zimit in the bunker. Thinking quickly, James proposes that everyone gather plants to bring inside, claiming they'll be needed for replanting later. As the group disperses, he secretly shares his plan with each of them. When the time comes, they enter the bunker and disable the external keypad before sealing the door, leaving Zimit locked outside. Inside, they explore their new environment: an artificial garden, sleeping quarters, a gym, and other amenities meant to stave off depression during their year underground. That evening, as everyone settles onto their cots, James joins Petra on the larger bed and reassures her that he can face anything as long as they're together. After he falls asleep, Petra slips away to check on Zimit and finds him outside, slowly burning from radiation exposure. To her shock, Zimit raises a piece of paper that reads, "Only he knows the exit code." Panicked, Petra gathers the others, and a heated argument breaks out over whether to believe him. In the end, they decide to ignore the warning and continue with their plan. The group pushes forward, enduring a long, painfully dull year inside the bunker, filling their days with repetitive, mundane tasks. Each day, Petra checks on Zimit's body as it gradually decays, sometimes disturbed by a stray dog feeding on it. When the year finally ends, they prepare to leave. only to discover that Zimit was telling the truth. The door requires an exit code. Desperate, they try everything they can to break it open, but nothing works. With supplies nearly gone, they struggle on for a few more days before ultimately deciding to end their lives rather than starve. Back in the classroom, Zimit reveals that they have failed the experiment. He discloses that his assigned profession was a bunker builder, and that he was, in fact, the one who designed that very bunker, making him the only person who knew the code. Determined to try again, the students reset the scenario, this time imagining a new location, Mount Bromo. As the exercise restarts, Petra notices Zimit once again reaching for the gun. This time, the cards contain a second hidden trait that could influence the voting. James is revealed to be gay, but he is still chosen for his farming skills, albeit with fewer votes. Georgina, the surgeon, has been exposed to the Ebola virus and is excluded. Plum, the hedge fund manager, carries a bag of gold and is accepted. Chip, the carpenter, is infertile but still selected for his practical abilities. Petra, already a structural engineer, is also trained as an electrical engineer, securing her place again. Andy, the electrician, reveals he has a rare condition that could kill him at any moment, leading to his rejection. Poppy, the psychotherapist, cannot have children and is also excluded. Vivian, the zoologist, supports PETA and is once again left out. Jack, the chemist, is said to have won the genetic lottery, ensuring a long and healthy life, so he is chosen again. Covey, the real estate agent, is also a midwife, which earns him a spot after the loss of a doctor. Parker, the gelato maker, has no additional trait, implying someone else has two, and is excluded. Utami, the opera singer, does have two traits. She speaks 7 languages, but will develop a throat tumor in 3 years that will take away her voice, leading to her rejection. Mitzi, the wine auctioneer with an IQ of 200, is again left out. Beatrice, who built a successful bamboo-based fashion brand, is also excluded, as is Russell, the harpist, who is autistic. Meanwhile, Omicide, the senator, is destined to become the first female Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, securing herself once more. Bonnie, the soldier, is revealed to have genetic memory, securing her place once again. Nelson, the housekeeper, is described as exceptionally kind, a trait that initially seems unhelpful. However, he is ultimately chosen after Beatrice argues they need more men, and Omicide adds that they require strong, hard-working people from the middle class. When Toby, the poet, is about to reveal his additional trait, Zimit shoots him again, claiming the final spot for himself since the group still doesn't know the bunker's code. He then hands Georgina the keys to a truck, prompting those left outside to flee in a desperate attempt to survive, but they are quickly consumed by the explosion. The selected group sprints toward the bunker, barely making it inside before settling once again into the same dull, repetitive routine of underground life. Later that night, Petra wakes to find James missing from his bed. She searches for him and discovers him being intimate with Jack, who is revealed to be gay in real life. Hurt and furious, Petra rushes back to tell the others. This sparks a new discussion, how they will pair up to reproduce. Since Chip is infertile, he's excluded from the arrangement. Jack and James refuse outright, saying they can't force themselves into relationships with women, even for the sake of survival. Bonnie is paired with Covey, while Omicide is matched with Nelson. Still angry at James, Petra agrees to pair with Zimit, ignoring James when he insists she still loves him. As chaos and destruction continue outside, the 3 couples carry out their plans simultaneously. After 10 weeks pass with no pregnancies, Zimit insists they must switch partners, arguing that the women should have multiple partners to increase the chances. Bonnie pushes back, saying they are taking logic too far and that it shouldn't override her consent. Zimit leaves, only to return moments later with a gun, ordering everyone except Bonnie out of the room. The group obeys, but Jack hides nearby. When Zimit is distracted, Jack tackles him, knocking the gun loose. Bonnie grabs it and holds Zimit at gunpoint, but the struggle continues. Zimit gains the upper hand, until Jack suddenly stabs him in the ear with a pen. Enraged and unstable, Zimit staggers to the bunker door and enters the exit code, opening it and effectively dooming everyone. Once again, the class has failed the exercise. This time, James grows suspicious. He questions Zimit's true motives, pointing out the strange coughing fit Zimit had when assigning roles to him and Petra, and noting that he hasn't coughed since. Suddenly, James rushes to the desk, grabs the box, and pulls it out of Zimit's reach. He opens it and uncovers the truth. The box has hidden compartments, and both his and Petra's cards have been tampered with. Their roles were never random. He was always meant to be the farmer, and she the double engineer. Demanding answers, James asks why Zimit seems to have singled him out. In response, Zimit brings up Plato's allegory of the cave, the story of a man who spends his entire life chained to a wall, seeing only shadows and hearing echoes, believing them to be reality. When he is finally freed, he discovers that everything he thought was real was merely an illusion. Zimit claims James is like that man, arguing that the exercise is meant to force him to confront how his privilege has left him unprepared for the real world. But James isn't convinced. If that were true, Zimit could have assigned him a useless role and had him eliminated early. Instead, making him a gay farmer suggests Zimit wanted to prolong his suffering. Before the argument escalates further, Petra steps in and insists they run the exercise a third time, this time assigning James the role of a florist. The scenario resets. Now, they imagine themselves on an island, before any apocalypse has occurred. As usual, Zimit heads toward the bunker to retrieve a weapon, briefly hearing a noise but dismissing it. When he returns, Petra approaches him and unexpectedly offers a hug, saying she understands how difficult this has been for him. She then asks the group to trust her to decide who will enter the bunker, promising she has a plan. Reluctantly, they agree. Petra begins making her selections, explaining each choice. Mitzi is chosen because, as a brilliant wine auctioneer, she would know to bring both red and white wine, keeping morale high. Beatrice is selected because dressing well can boost self-esteem, which in turn supports productivity and survival. Toby's second trait is revealed to be a champion poker player, so he's included for the entertainment he can provide. Georgina is brought back in as well, and while Georgina was exposed to Ebola, there's no proof she's infected. Petra chooses to take the risk, promising to pray for her. Utami is also accepted. Even if she may lose her voice in a few years, her singing can bring comfort in the present. Jack is selected for his exceptional genetics, though he's frustrated at the thought of being alone due to his orientation. At that moment, Parker comes out and is immediately included as well. With only 2 spots remaining, Petra chooses James. As the selected group enters the bunker, the classroom reflects the tension of the moment, with everyone now united behind Petra's leadership. Zimit, however, grows increasingly agitated. Throughout the process, he has been criticizing her decisions, lowering her grade with each choice until she is on the verge of failing. But seeing what he considers useless people being allowed into the bunker pushes him over the edge, and he reaches for his gun. Zimit reaches for his gun, but it's gone. Petra had taken it when she hugged him earlier. She calmly returns it, only to reveal it isn't loaded. Then she hands him 2 bullets, saying she doesn't want him to suffer like before. At that moment, James emerges with a rifle, revealing he was the noise Zimit heard in the bunker. Desperate, Zimit insists that only he knows the exit code, but Bonnie, with her perfect memory, memorized it during the previous run. Realizing he's lost control, Zimit backs down and leaves. Petra then offers the final spot to Bonnie, but when she refuses, Chip takes it instead. In this version of the exercise, James is no longer gay, and he begs Petra to join him in the bunker. She refuses, saying she'll take the boat and try to escape the radiation zone, until Chip reveals he has the boat keys. Acting quickly, he shoves Petra into the bunker and takes her place outside just as the door seals. As the others rush toward the boat to escape the island, Petra continues narrating the imagined scenario. Despite the dire circumstances, she explains, life in the bunker found moments of joy through card games, wine, performances of Shakespeare, and original poetry. James confesses his love to Petra, but she hesitates to say it back. When equipment in the bunker breaks down, they repurpose the parts to build a harp. Russell plays while Utami sings, turning their evenings into something almost magical. After a year passes, they finally emerge, only to discover that the bombs never fell. Zimit's voice returns, narrating that they will eventually die anyway, lacking the practical skills to survive on an island. But Petra counters that even if their lives are short, they will be meaningful. They'll live well, happily, and face death without fear. Suddenly, a rocket lands on the beach, and James prepares to detonate it. Before he can, Zimit appears and fires to stop him. He reveals that he survived the year by hiding deep within a cave, beyond the reach of radiation. Refusing to let them end humanity, Zimit threatens James with his last bullet. One by one, the others step in front of James, shielding him. Seizing the moment, they trigger the rocket anyway, destroying the entire island. Back in the classroom, Zimit is shaken by how the exercise has unfolded. Chip quickly interrupts, offering his own alternate ending. The boat traveled far enough to escape the blast, leaving him as the only man with 6 women. When asked about the other men, he casually claims Covey drowned, Nelson was attacked by a barracuda, and Andy met an unfortunate end with a palm tree. Infertile or not, Chip insists there's still a chance for procreation, and in his version, he rotates partners daily. Finally, Zimit ends the class. The students leave one by one, until only Petra remains. She confronts him, accusing him of using the exercise to punish James. It's revealed that Petra and Zimit have been having an affair, and Zimit believes James has been unfaithful as well. Petra argues that intelligence isn't everything, and that she truly loves James, so he shouldn't be punished for something he doesn't even know. She gives Zimit one last kiss and walks away. Left alone in the school, Zimit begins imagining different versions of what happens if he returns to his office. In some, he simply eats. In others, he finds his gun, and a gunshot echoes through the building.
And that's the end of the story. I hope you liked it. Comment down below what movies do you like us to recap next. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.